All
Carefully.
right. I think it is 3:30 Mountain Time, 2:30 Pacific, and it's Wednesday. So I think that means we're having Big Win Wednesday. And I'm super excited about tonight. We've got an amazing lineup. Pat Manning's on the line. Good to have you on, Pat. We've got our first speaker here coming up, Akash. And before we introduce our icon trainer, I just want to welcome all of our guests. I know we've got people still joining on, and we've got people that are going to be watching this recording later because our assistants, Sam, you and your team do a phenomenal job getting those up on YouTube so we can watch them later. But anyway, I'm excited for tonight. I'm excited for 2023. I'm excited for this great real estate market. I don't care what anybody else says. People are still, I don't see people moving into caves. They're still moving into houses. So we still got a way to make some money here, Akash. But real quick, just as your host for Big Win Wednesday tonight, I'll introduce myself. My name is Tony Hughes. I live in Idaho Falls, Idaho, much to my chagrin. I got married a year and a half ago. That's not the problem. It's just that my bride she's from Idaho Falls, and I'm used to Scottsdale, Arizona weather. So it is colder, as my dad used to say, colder than a well digger's butt in the middle of January right now in Idaho. But I'm jealous for you, Akash, and all my friends back down there in Arizona. And so I ran, let me just back up. I have 5 children, 3 boys, 2 sons. I'm the happy grandfather of 4 grandchildren. I've got a little boy coming, another grandson coming in March from my youngest daughter, which I'm super excited about. Graduated from college in business management with an emphasis in marketing. That's all I've done since 1987, which has been like 14,000 years ago. And got involved in this incredible industry of real estate in 2015. I was the CEO team leader for 3 different Keller Williams franchises in Phoenix, Arizona, and loved my career there, loved the people there. And then somebody came along and said, hey, I want to take you golfing. His name was Rob Flick. Some of you might know that name. He wanted to take me golfing, and I knew what he really wanted, but I went ahead and took his free golf game, and we went out and sat down at the clubhouse afterwards, and he drew out on paper what we're going to learn about in our second session tonight. But I just knew that I had to make the move because I saw this company as the future, really, of real estate. I had the unique opportunity when I was a team leader at Keller Williams Biltmore Partners, which is in the central corridor of Phoenix, Arizona, to reach out to this gentleman. I couldn't even pronounce his name. It was spelled Bharat. I had no Barat. I couldn't say it, but thankfully he told me just call me Barry because that's his nickname. Reached out to these gentlemen over at Coldwell Banker and said, hey, I'd like to interview you guys. And so it wasn't just one person that came in. And gosh, I can't remember. Your mom might have even come to that interview, if I'm not mistaken. I got the whole family that showed up, and we just made instant friends. I invited them to come down to a Keller Williams family reunion or mega camp down in Austin, Texas. And we stayed in a little Airbnb together and kind of bonded for a few days there. And then they came back and made their decision that they were going to come to Keller Williams. And then I ended up going to lead another KW and left them behind. I felt bad about that. And then when they saw my announcement on Facebook that I was leaving Keller Williams for good and going over to EXP, I got a phone call from Akash, our first speaker tonight, and his dad saying, what the heck is going on? Why are you leaving? And I told them, and they said, we're coming with you. And I was like, thank you, Lord. And so this family, they've had me over to their home. Their mother, Akash's mother, Vanessa, is just an unbelievable cook. I've watched that woman cook for hundreds of people at one time at their temple, and she's just an amazing lady. His 2 sisters are amazing. I learned more parental life philosophies from Akash's dad in those 2 or 3 days at that Airbnb a few years ago than I've heard from anybody my whole life. And I just instantly fell in love with Barry Kaushal, who is Akash's dad. This young man who you're going to hear from now is just an incredible human being. I don't know what your IQ is, Kosh, but it's way up there. He's super smart. And when he got on here, before all you guys got on here, I said, "Oh my gosh, it happened again." And he said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "You got better looking." He's a handsome young man. He's a commercial agent and a residential agent. He leads a commercial group of agents in Phoenix, Arizona. He's an influencer. He's just an incredible young entrepreneur with, integrity, honesty, and a work ethic that just won't quit. Akash, I've got my pencil right here. I've got my notepad, and I've always said never trust your brain and your memory when you can use a pencil and a piece of paper. So I'm ready to take notes all the way from Phoenix, Arizona. Akash Kaushal, 3 times icon, baby. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Toy Sir. I appreciate it. With an intro like that, it seems like fireworks and smoke machines should have went off. So thank you for the very kind words. However much of it is true, I'm not exactly sure, but I
It's
appreciate
all true.
you making me look good in front of everybody else. So,
Hey, Kosh, I was told a long time ago, never let the truth interfere with a good story.
the dad has
It's
a
all
good
true, and
line.
you know it.
Yeah, Barry's got a good one like that too, which is, I've made up my mind, don't confuse me with the facts. So you made up your mind about how good I am, and I'm not gonna ruin that for you.
I love that. That's awesome.
So thank you all, everyone else, for joining on the call, and for the folks who are going to be watching this in the future. Um, Tony so graciously asked me to join us tonight and share a bit about my knowledge, journey, and story. I would love some questions and prompts. Feel free to even interrupt while I'm chatting, because I don't know exactly what I should be sharing today. And so with that, um, it's true. Tony brought us over from another brokerage, and it didn't take an invite of golf. It just took his convincing words. As you can see, he's very good with it. And so he said a few things, and we came over to EXP, and now it's been, feels like three and a half years, almost 4 years,
Yeah,
I
I think
think.
you guys are about 3 months behind me. So what, August of 2019, something like that?
That's exactly it. Yeah, August of 2019.
Yeah.
So, and since then we've been just on a good run ever since then on the residential side, and we've, as Tony mentioned, we've expanded into the commercial real estate space over the last 2 years, and now I work as what I call a resmercial agent. So primarily residential, but ever more growing over the years, over time, that I'd be transitioning over onto the commercial side. So that's kind of where my background lies and where my experience is currently right now. So um, what I can share is about my experience, at least in the real estate side of things, is my experience coming from a completely different industry. I know a lot of us do things like that as well. I came from a background in engineering. So prior to real estate, I was a chemical process engineer working in a chemical plant in California. So coming from a very technical background into a very people and sales and a warm and connections kind of industry was very different for me when I'm used to spreadsheets and machines. So I have experience in 180ing on the career path and the career journey, as well as starting from absolute scratch in a city with for real estate. So when I had initially, born and raised in Toronto, Canada, did university out there as well. Got my first job out of school in Orange County, California. So was out there for about 2, 3 years. Absolutely did not like it. I was not having a good time at the place and the career that I was had chosen and started following. And my dad Barry and my mom Vanessa were out in Phoenix, and he was also working as a engineer, software engineer. He said, "Forget that. I'm tired of talking to machines. I like talking to people." Went and got his real estate license and jumped in full time. I thought it was the craziest thing that anyone's ever done, especially in my life. I was like, why would you ever do that when you raised me to, be on this stable engineering career path? And so, um, I thought he was insane. And 6 months later, I hated what I was doing. And I was like, oh, I get it. You did this thing that you hated for 35 years. And now you want to go do this other thing that you like. I understand. And I'm not going to wait 35 years to do that. So he said, while you're looking for another opportunity, why don't you come work real estate with me and mom, help us get it off the ground, work the social media, the systems, the CRMs, whatever it is. Just help us get this business going. And if you don't like it after 1 year, you go back into, do whatever you want. And 6.5 years later, we've built a large business, icon agent, top 1% in Arizona based on sales volume and things like that. So from not knowing anybody in the city of Phoenix other than, my two parents, and they knew almost nobody, to growing a very, very large business basically from scratch. So starting the business from scratch in a brand new city where you don't have any connections, I would love if you have any questions on doing something like that. That's what, we built it up from. And, coming from a very diverse and different technical background into a very people oriented kind of business.
Akash, I have memories of you, and I'm trying to remember his last name, Jeff
Klein.
Klein.
Yeah.
Jeff Klein. I just have memories going into that office over on the other side of that little Keller Williams that we were at. And I just remember you and Jeff constantly on the phone, making your lead gen calls. I'd really love it if because you're kind of speaking to an audience where there's a lot of new agents like you were 6.5 years ago, and you've got agents on here that are doing 100, 200, 300, 400 deals a year. But how did you go from being this scientific engineer, chemical engineer guy to getting clients in a city that you've never been in? Did you spend a lot of money on leads? Did you stand on a building with no clothes on? Did you put billboards around the city and say, pick me, I'm your guy? Talk to us a little bit about how you made that radical transition, and how did you start to get traction to get some houses closed?
Sure. Yeah. The billboards and the standing naked part are definitely more Barry style. My dad, right? He thinks he said famous or infamous as long as you know my name, right? So that's his
Right.
style of marketing.
I love
but
it.
yeah, but when we came in and started, we didn't know anything, right? We didn't know what was the right thing, how to generate a lead, what we're supposed to be doing. And so what we ended up doing is getting our broker at the time. She was very kind to us, and she said, why don't you guys, do open houses? So each of us took 10, 15 signs. He'd go sit in an empty vacant house, and I'd go sit in a different house from Thursday through Sunday, 4 days a week. And I would just sit in an empty house for 6 to 8 hours. I would just park there in the morning, and that is my office for the day. Whatever I'm working on marketing wise or whatever, I would sit there and talk to anyone who walked in into that place. So the cost is essentially nothing because my broker provided the signs. So if it was up to me now, I'd go pick up, I'd go make 10, 15, 20 signs.
We just lost your audio. Hopefully you can hear me.
Sorry. Yeah. Is it back?
Yep, you're back.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And so we just did that open house grind, of generating leads. We were very good face to face. Neither of us knew how to really cold call at the time, or where would we generate these leads from. It wasn't really taught to us from that. So all we knew was open house, and that's all we did 4 days a week, 3-4 days a week for roughly 3 to 3.5 years, of where it was just, that's all we did right up until.
I just want to stop you right there. I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you. Okay, this is the part I want everybody to pay attention to, especially those of you that are not here live. I just want you to hear what he said. He didn't just do this once or twice in 1 year. And I am a personal witness to this family. Like, I know how many open house signs they have. I've been to their house. I've seen them do their open houses, and they did them consistently. You know, there's what, Akash, 8 or 9, 10 different really good, lead generation options in real estate. You guys were told by your broker there at Coldwell Banker, open houses, just do open houses. And I have just been overly impressed, because if I had $1 for every agent I've heard say open houses don't work, I'd be a multi-millionaire, right? Talk to us about, did they work? Did you learn anything? Would you have done it again? Would you have done anything differently? Talk to us more about your experience with those open houses, hundreds of them that you did.
Yeah, literally hundreds. And I had started in real estate in the middle of summer in Phoenix. So the most brutal time, change of shirt, putting out signs in 110-degree weather, 120-degree weather, different change of clothes while I put out signs, get into the house, change into a collared shirt and a professional outfit. And every single day I would be doing the open houses like that. Do they work? Yes. And I think that really ties into everything in real estate. It's like everything works and nothing works. So pick the one that you like, and you do it enough times and you do it long enough, and suddenly you find success in it. Because it's certainly not, if we just did one open house, it wouldn't have done anything. But the fact that we did more than 100 a year, that's where we found success. Some days on a Thursday, no one would show up. And the next day you'd get 10 people. The next day you get 2 people. And then the next day, 6 people would show up. And we would do it, our formula really, like, there was no sign-in sheet. I might have played some music. We didn't really do cookies and water unless it was maybe a higher end listing or something like that. Bare bones, 15 signs and a speaker so I could play some music. And that's all my open house was. And it was just based on the pure skill. Can I get this person to talk to me, like me enough to give me their real name, phone number, and email, and agree to that I can send properties to them. And I do have a script or a spiel that I would kind of go into, that I think 85% of the time, if I felt comfortable enough to get to that point, or some people walk in and they're not going to give you anything no matter what. But if they give me a minute or two to talk to them, even before, as they're kind of leaving the house, 80% chance I could get their name and number, even if they weren't really looking to do something immediately. But if I were to, do it again, or kind of now knowing what I know, what would I kind of dial into? And I do mentor some other agents who are just starting out and kind of joining our group and things like that. And now it's really truly a combination of, what I call, pick one of the old school methods, whatever it is: cold calling, buying leads, getting on the phones and just hammering the phones that way, door knocking, open houses, or any of those kinds of activities, which are tried and true for a very long time. And then combination with a heavy social media presence, where you're just posting to, even if you don't have a large following. I connect with a lot of young professionals, and we often trade LinkedIn's or Instagrams or something like that. The fact is that now they're in your sphere somehow. And so a combination of that with one of the old school methods. So for us, it was open houses. So I would do open houses with a lot of social media, and then we also do a monthly newsletter to our entire database. So whatever way you can hit them with casual, fun stuff on social media, maybe some of the more detailed kind of knowledge, data-oriented stuff through the newsletter, and then reach outs via phone call or text, kind of the way we've always done it. So that's kind of my take on what I would do to just start up again if I were to kind of start from scratch.
Have those open houses, the ones that you've converted or found unrepresented agents, I'm just curious, the layering effect that's happened from a referral standpoint. So you got someone into a home, they loved you, they loved the way that the experience of it all. How have the referrals been from the clientele that you've generated off of those open houses?
Yeah. So the quality or the amount of referral is always going to be on how you operate after the transaction. Um, because you could do the deal and then be like, okay, great, thank you, and never talk to them again. They might not call you back, right? So for us, it was really about um, creating a very deep connection, and that's what ends up happening. In the course of a transaction in 30 days or 60 to 90 days, and searching and going through the process, you learn so much about somebody. You get to learn about how they view and what they feel very internally about home, family, money, and some of these things drive very deep into folks about, whether it's issues or just viewpoints or things that come out. You end up finding out more about somebody than a lot of people know about their own personal friends, because of they don't, chat about finances or school and what school means to their kids, or things like that, where they want to raise their kids and things like that. So you end up becoming very close. It's an intimate connection, in my opinion, and because of that, I treat them as friends or as family. Our slogan for a long time was "From clients to family,"
I love that.
and yeah, and we often invite people over to, my parents' house for dinner, or we'll get, after the transaction is done, still remain friends in this fact of like just following up, being involved in their lives, involving them in our life when we're doing things as well too. And that is where the large amount of referrals has come from. There's many families that we've helped, or young couples or older couples, and it's led to 4, 5, 6 transactions, one or two a year, because now some other family member needs to do something and they're like, well, these guys are our family. We want to, you should use them, that kind of thing.
Love that. I love the fact, Akash, you called me a few weeks ago and asked me to take a little elderly couple underneath my wings because they were retiring to Boise, Idaho. And I have just absolutely fallen in love with this couple. They're so cute. But I'm going to tell a little story on you. And this is another example of success from the Kaushal family. I asked John some secret, or I said, hey, tell me the goods about the Kaushal family. Like, how did you come to know them? And he goes, oh, it's very, very simple. He goes, we live 2 doors down and we got this invitation from this guy to come to this Bollywood party at their house. And, he told he says to his wife, he goes, we got to go down and see what this is all about. And so you guys hosted a Bollywood party at your house. And here's this little Caucasian elderly couple that shows up to this Bollywood party with probably, he said, about 90% of the folks there were from India or Indian descent. And he said he just started talking to Barry, your dad, and I guess you, and they just said, well, gosh, we're getting ready to sell our house and we don't really have a realtor. And boom, just that door knocking experience of you going out and inviting your neighbors to come to your Bollywood party. Not only did you help them sell their home in Phoenix, I get just the unique opportunity to help them find their final home here where they're retiring in Idaho. So that is just a real life story that just literally happened in the last 30 days. And it's been incredible. And that's how you do it. And I think, Akash, too many people complicate this business, right? I heard a guy say it a long time ago, you got to simplify to multiply. You got to simplify to multiply. And how much more simple is it to go around your neighbors and invite them to a party? And that turned into a friendship that will never, ever go away for you and your family. And it will never go away for me and my family. So thank you for introducing me to John and Pam. They're great people.
Yeah, thank you for taking care of them as well. But that party that we had, so now that's our new style of marketing. I'm not doing as many open houses, right? It might be one every other month, or two, kind of one weekend every now and then. So we've gotten away from that and doing more on the sphere side of things. And now our biggest form of marketing expense is that exact party that we call it, is a client appreciation party, where we invited every past client, current client, or even B-level people in our sphere who would do a deal with us when they have to do something, they just haven't done one yet, right? So roughly about or 350 invites went out for this thing, and we had about 140 people over at my parents' house
Wow.
in the backyard, set up decor, had the
That's a lot of
bartender. Yeah, we had the bartender, we had a bounce house for the kids, and then live music for about 4 hours. And we called it Barry's Bollywood Bonanza.
Oh, I love
So
it.
yeah. And it was just straight up for our clients. So we got good marketing out of it, videos, photography, all that kind of content to post, afterwards on social media in our newsletters. Um, as well as it generated a bunch of business for us, because the one big reason I said, hey, listen, I need, mom, dad, I need you to go knock on the neighbor's door, 10 this way, 10 that way, in both directions, because you're going to have 50, 60 cars here, and you're going to have a loud party going on over the weekend, and it's going to go into the night a little bit. I need you to make friends with everybody so we don't, we don't get the cops called on us. And so they're like, that's a good idea. And because I said, we don't want to get in trouble, our neighbors came over. They had a great time. They became very good friends of ours. You got a check for 18 grand. We're able to send them over to you and get a referral check on that as well. So there's the money, there's the friendship, there's the celebration, there's an enjoyment, and everyone is just having a good time because of it. And so, I, as I've grown in this business, it changes away from, as you build that book of business, it changes away from like, okay, where's the next deal, to where's the next friend I can make.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like I make friends and business happens from my friends. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about, I go to a lot of networking things for a lot of young professional things, and I'm just like, I like connecting with you. You're a great person. We should hang out. And 2 to 3 years down the road, they need to buy something, or their parents need to buy something. They say, hey, can you take care of this? I'm like, yeah, of course.
It's brilliant.
So
And
it's
that's brilliant.
relationships. It's
It's
truly
kind of,
about the power of relationships.
I just see it as, Kosh, you guys had to pay your dues. You paid your dues. You were disciplined. You did those open houses, hundreds of them. I hope you guys are hearing what he's saying, because if I'm not mistaken, Akash, you've actually done open houses with 20 open house signs, but always 10 to 15 open house signs per open house. So imagine, guys, these guys are getting there an hour early, and they're putting open house signs everywhere. It's like, why are you going to spend 6 hours of your life in a vacant house or an open house, and you go put out 3 signs and 2 people see those signs? No, the Kaushal family, man, Barry, he goes and does his, and he bombards the neighborhood and puts signs everywhere, and you'd have to be blind not to see all these open house signs everywhere. Kosh does the same thing. They divide and conquer, right? And so you went out, you paid your dues for 3 years. It's like a layered cake to me. You got a layer of clients, you paid your dues. You got another layer of clients, you paid your dues. You got another layer of clients over those 3 years. And now you have such a big layered cake that layered cake is just full of referrals because of the way you treat your clients like family. They all tell their friends, oh my gosh, these guys are incredible. They'll invite you over to their parties. They have just a fun family. The mom always feeds you and blah, blah, blah. So you went out and grinded it for 3 years, doing all those open houses. And I want to just say something. There is no shortcut to success. There is no shortcut to success. And you and your dad and your mom and even your sister for a time before she went to med school, all of you had your real estate license, and you were all out there doing those open houses. And I saw you weekend after weekend after weekend on social media. And I'm like, there's a family that has proven that open houses don't work when you don't work them. You guys worked them and you worked them and you worked them, and you built this big layer of clients. And now that layer of clients is so thrilled with their experience. Everything in our world today is about experience. That's why the theaters had to change all of what they did inside the theater, because people can watch movies on their 85-inch screen TV. They had to put leather chairs that folded back and beer delivered to your chair and, nachos delivered to your chair. And, it's a different experience. You guys have provided such a beautiful experience, that's what you focus on, is providing such a wonderful experience with, and I want to really put a word, that experience starts with EXP, by the way. You provide that great experience to your clients. And then because they love, it was less stressful. You took all the stress, you were intelligent, you provided value. They have no hesitation whatsoever. And so now I think it's brilliant that you're continuing to nurture those familial relationships with all those people who were first clients. And now they're telling everybody, and really, if you do it right, you'll never have to ever, make a cold call the rest of your life, and nor should you.
Yeah, that is correct. And, I know everyone's path to success is different in different lengths and varying lengths. Our timeline, at least, and I've seen this a lot with other folks that I've, networked with in the industry. I'll tell you, the first year and even the second year, hardest things I've ever done in my entire life, to put that much work in, and it feels like nothing is, things are coming out of it slowly, especially out of the first 6 months, literally nothing. And I'm open housing 3-4 days a week. And the first 6 months led to, I didn't have a single contract out. But those 6 months of doing 3 to 4 open houses a week and doing proper follow-up and saying, checking on properties for people, or, hey, chat with my lender. Oh, did you want to check out this? And just follow up like that led to 2 sales a month the next year. But the first 6 months was nothing. And I'm doing this, essentially full time, right? At that point.
Yeah. And you're
I
used to a
was,
regular paycheck too.
yeah, I was used to a regular engineering, good paycheck.
You weren't used to your
And
boss saying, "No, we're not going to pay you for 6 months, Akash, but just keep working."
yeah, and I don't tell a lot of people, but to pay my phone bill and gas and things like that, I was tutoring grade school and high school kids in math in order to, kind of float some of those expenses for those months. So when I say that the first year was really like the hardest thing I've ever done, it was like constantly questioning, like, why am I doing this for a very long time? So emotionally, it was very difficult. And after the first 6 months, and then you start seeing the success where you're getting 2 deals and these people are enjoying the way you do provide service and do the business, it boosts you up. And then the year after that, okay, now instead of 2 a month, we're doing 3 a month. And the year after, 3.5, 4 per month on average. And just to see it grow, it's like, okay, it was worth it. And so that first 1 or 2 years, constant outbound, it's all outbound. Year 3, we started to get some inbound. Some people were starting to refer us, or some repeat business. So it's like, okay, cool. And then year 5 and 6 has been, I have barely had to go do a cold call or an open house. And it's been just coming in because people know our name, or referrals, or the way we're marketing on email and social media, just to keep, or like I mentioned, these client events that we're doing for our clients has now generated enough business for us to just rotate through that database without having to constantly add, 100 new people this month, or, this year, or something like that.
Right.
So that was our timeline to kind of get where we are. And so the first 2 years was a grind, 3 years even. And then slowly we started getting the business kind of returning on itself from there.
Well, and if I remember right, your dad lost his dad during this process, and you had to go over to India and pay respects to your family. And that was, I think, Barry was over there taking care of his mom for about a month. And then right after that, your mom's mom, wasn't it, passed away, and up to Canada to, spend time with your family. So life gets in the way sometimes, but I just so respect the way that, I heard something a long time ago, and it's so true. And watching it is so painful to me, because I've been through it too many times, 2 or 3 times. And that is one of the hardest things to do in business is to build momentum once you've lost it. It's super hard to build momentum anyway. But then when you lose the momentum, it's like way harder to build it back. And I remember when your dad got back after he lost his father from India, and I saw a different man. I saw a man that was depressed. He was angry because of some, family stuff going on with the will and all that. He was unfocused. He was, just, but that's called mourning. And that is something that we all should do, and we should do it for as long as it takes, and we should do it properly. And it's something if we don't do it, we destroy our souls. But what really impressed me was how your family came together after those devastating losses of your grandparents, and some way you guys just doubled down, tripled down, and you rebuilt that momentum to a point now where it's bigger than it's ever been. And I just say hats off. I mean, I'm just so impressed with what you've been able to do, Akash, and your whole family.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. That was, right in the middle of right before, I'd say, the pandemic, I believe, 2019. It was very difficult for us. Emotionally, everything else, sales and business took a big hit because they were gone for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And I was having a hard time just holding down things here as well. So it's exactly that, building back the momentum. And it was just roll into it back the way we knew how, like the only way we knew how, which is call everybody that and start doing open houses that were available. And so we just rolled back into the basics of it and just did what we knew. We maintain that today in the sense of when you're talking about momentum, me and Barry talk about it often. It's like, I don't care what the deal size is. It could be a $30,000 piece of land where you get paid a couple $100. He's like, just keep the machine turning. He's like, because when you're working on a deal, you have you have that energy of business and doing deals. He's like, it doesn't matter how small or big it is. It's the momentum of a deal coming through the cycle, that you have something in escrow or multiple things in escrow. And if something falls out, it's not the end of the world, and you have something else to keep going. He's like, so I don't care what the deal size is. He's just like, take it and go. I don't care what the check that comes out afterwards. He's like, as long as you're working it, he's like, you'll continue that, the cogs and the machine keeps moving.
Akash, your dad, if I remember right, went to the most prestigious university in the country of India. It would be equivalent, I think he said equivalent to a Stanford or Harvard or even better. Than those schools.
For engineering, the number one top engineering school in India, IIT. It's, there's a few campuses, but it's the cream of the crop engineering school out there in India.
And I remember he said something about he was ranked in the top 35 out of the entire country in that particular field. And I thought, man, this is probably the smartest guy I've ever met in my life. But to be able to watch what you guys have done, especially as a family, sometimes it's hard to work with your mom and dad and, your sisters and have a family business. And you don't need to tell us about all the ugly. But I'd love it to have your dad on here one time for these Big Win Wednesdays and just have him talk nothing but philosophy. Because I swear to you, Akash, I'm not kidding you. Like, I read Ayn Rand's book, Atlas Shrugged, and there's about 250 pages of her going on and on and on about philosophy. I learned more about philosophy and life just spending those couple of days in Austin, Texas with your mom, with your dad and you at that Airbnb than I have in my entire life. I certainly never learned anything like your dad was teaching me from my father. And I love my dad. He's just not a philosopher. I mean, he's just got a different kind of a style, but I'd love to have your dad on here because really, to me, it's philosophy that drives everything. It's your mindset. It's your belief system. It's that old saying, you are what you think about, right? You become what you invest your energy in. And I can just see all of that being poured into you and Nelima and your other sister.
Bhavna.
Say it again?
Bhavna.
Bhavna. That's the reason I don't know her, is because she lives in Canada. And so I didn't get to know her all that well, but she's like Barry in a female body. I swear that your sister of yours, just like your dad. She's awesome. But anyway, I just appreciate your dad and your mom raising such good, just good kids. And you're all such good kids. I call you kids because you're about the age of my 5 kids. But anyway, tell your dad that I'd love to have him come on one of these Wednesdays and just share with the EXP family, philosophies that his father taught him and things that he's learned in business, because your dad came from nothing and his father came from nothing and ended up a multi-millionaire in India. And I think those kind of stories are so inspirational. We all need inspiration right now, for sure. I think this would be a great time, Akash, unless you've got anything else you want to share. We can maybe open it up and just do kind of a raw, unplugged. If anybody wants to hit you up with, questions, if you don't mind, let's just see what we can do here for a few minutes, and then we will take a break. Let's see, what time is it? 4:12 on my clock, Mountain Time. So we'll go till about 4:25. We'll take a 5-minute break, and then you can go spend time with your family or whatever. And we've got another session that I'm hosting, 2 more sessions that I'm hosting for the rest of the evening. But if you have a question from Mr. Akash Kaushal from Phoenix, Arizona, if you want some clarification, you want to dig into any other of his secret sauce or systems,
Good go. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
intellect or whatever it is, this is your chance. So I'm just going to turn it over.
Sure. Yeah, would love it. If there's any questions about what we chatted about
David
today.
Stute wanting to ask a question, or is just he just unmuted himself?
Uh-oh. It was accidental if I did.
Well, now you got to ask something, David.
Now you got to ask something.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Oh, you smart aleck. Anyway, guys, listen, you got to unmute your mic. I think one of the biggest mistakes realtors make, and I've had my opportunity to shepherd literally thousands of real estate agents over the last 7 years, is they don't ask for help. They would rather quit and go back to a job, just over broke, than they would ask for help. And we have an opportunity now to learn from a young man who's not only done Icon once, twice, 3 times, soon to be 4, but has really gone from not knowing a dadgum thing about this business to becoming one of the elite performers and producers in the entire world of real estate. So I would invite all of you, if you would, to unmute your microphones and just at least say hello to Akash, and if nothing else, express your gratitude for his volunteering spirit of opening up and sharing his story tonight. So any questions? Open up those mics. I'm going to start calling out names. Mailing, your mic is muted. Nicole, your mic is muted. Zachary, your mic is muted. Nicole, your mic is muted. Kevin, your
I'm
mic
not muted. Hello and thank you.
So you can unmute now. I love it. Good. Carlin, thank you. You guys go right in and just ask Akash a question or say whatever you want to say.
I
Well,
really
thank you
appreciate
for
your
the-
story. It's really interesting. And I just checking out your Instagram. It looks good. So
Well,
stuff.
thanks, Carlin. I appreciate it. It's sometimes hard to stay regular on it. The last 2 years, it was something where I was like, okay, I just want to post 4, maybe 5 times a week. And then, fell off of it in around October. And then, okay, last 2 days, I'm like, all right, time to start doing it again. Because
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
yeah. And I don't know about are you in, which market are you in? Which city?
I'm in New York, Hudson Valley.
New York.
Wow.
Okay, gotcha. I don't know, at least down here in Phoenix, we had a bit of a pause for a while. More market was kind of slow.
Yeah.
But we're seeing activity pick right back up. And just from the last 2 days of me posting a property or posting a photo of myself, I've I've had 4 or 5 people reach out to me and just say, hey, listen, I'm ready to do something this year. I think this is my year, first time buyers or second time buyers. And I was like, oh yeah, I should have kept posting. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Do you guys
yeah.
do any sort of paid advertising like Google ads or anything like that?
No, we did everything extremely bare bones. And that was our biggest thing is like, when we were starting, it's like, we didn't know what was right. So we were like, we have a lot of time on our hand. And it's like, what can we do for free or for cheap? And open houses was the way because we had a lot more time than money at the time. So.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Sorry,
Yeah,
my
of
wife
course.
had to come in and give me a smooch.
Get a room.
I know, seriously. David Spute. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate that. Anybody else like to talk to Mr. Akash Kaushal? This is your opportunity. When you're in the presence of greatness, you should always respect that greatness. That's just a principle I learned a long time ago.
Well, I'll definitely say thank you for the time, and you make me tired just thinking about all those open houses.
Yeah, thanks, David. I appreciate that. And it's been some time since I've seen you in person, but I hope you're doing well as well.
Yep, doing great. I'm actually down here in Phoenix this week, but back to Henderson next week and Utah the next weekend. So stay on the road.
Making the rounds.
No moss grows on that old boy. Let me tell you, he's always moving. Anybody else? Zach, I saw you unmuted. You want to say something real quick?
Just wanted to say thank you and appreciate your time.
Awesome.
Definitely, Zach. Yeah, thanks for being on the call. Appreciate everyone being here, listening to the words I have to say. Tony says they're important, so.
Hey, Akash, while we're wrapping up things here, would you mind sharing any sort of your vision, your goals for 2023 and beyond?
Yeah. So just talking about the last year, I know it was a slowdown for a lot of people. Our November and December were the busiest months of the entire year. We had about eight or nine closings from November and December. So extremely busy.
Wow.
And a lot of that had to do with just continuing to put in the outreach and posting when nobody else is posting and everyone's talking, they're feeling a bit more despaiриsh, and they're seeing videos of dad walking through new construction and things like that, or even myself just posting about what we're doing and who we're working with and things like that. So there was a lot of opportunities for a lot of different buyers than it was at the start of the year. So vision for this year and kind of down the road is I'm really focusing on expanding our commercial clientele. So now it feels like I'm starting from almost like scratch in the fact that you're tackling an entire new world of real estate on the other side. And so I've gotten into different networking groups, such as BNI that I'm a part of, where I'm that group's commercial broker.
Cool.
And so helping with, office spaces or, retail spaces or things like that in order to kind of build up that side. So in 3 years, I'd like my business to be like 50-50 commercial and residential. And 5 years from now, I'd like it to be like 75-25, where the bulk of what I'm doing is hopefully larger scale commercial deals on that side of things. So that's kind of where my trajectory is.
Thank you. I love it. Big vision. I'd love it if you wouldn't mind just sharing, because it was such a celebratory event for the entire Phoenix marketplace. I don't think there had been a commercial that big done ever, maybe certainly with EXP, and maybe, I'm not sure if there's many brokerages, but would you share your first big commercial experience with the audience?
Sure.
That was pretty exciting.
I had a friend that I went to school with, chemical engineer, and he had built a company that's a lithium ion battery recycler. So they take the Tesla batteries or your phone battery or laptop battery, shred it apart and take out all the precious material, whether it's the copper, the other metals, and the lithium, of course, and then take that and ship it to some other end user and sell that without using any sort of combustion. So it's kind of a clean tech destruction process, recycling process. And so he reached out to me and said, hey, we need a plant in Arizona, in the Phoenix area. Can you assist with it? And I said, I can try. And our broker over here, our estate broker over here, she connected me with another gentleman, David Aronson down here, who's also with EXP, but his is purely commercial experience, 35 years of experience in the commercial space here in Phoenix. And so we partnered up and worked on these deals. It ended up being 2 warehouse spaces. One was about 150,000 square feet of warehouse, which is massive.
That's 3 times the size of a PetSmart.
Yeah, it was like, and it was brand new. No one had ever, had any sort of tenancy in there. So brand new, sparkling floors and flashy. And they also got another warehouse at 65,000 square feet. And both of these were for 10-year leases. And so you get paid on the entire lease volume for on the commercial side. If you get paid a percentage, it's on this 10-year lease volume. And so what the 10-year lease volume looked like, they're paying 60,000 a month on one warehouse and 40,000 a month on the other warehouse. The lease volume of these 2 deals was about 15 million. And we got paid close to 3% on 15 million between me and my partner, my commercial partner and mentor. So the GCI paid out to us was 450,000 that we split for these 2 deals.
Gorgeous.
And I said, what am I doing selling houses?
I need to sell warehouses.
Why am I selling $300,000 houses? I need to go do warehouses. I don't need to sell a warehouse. I just need to lease a warehouse, right? Because I see the power of leasing. Rentals on the residential side, especially in Phoenix, you get paid $300, $400. But you rent a warehouse for 10 years and see the check that comes out of it, and you might also switch to commercial as well.
I just remember the meeting where I think David, your partner, was going to bring in a fake check, and show. I think he did. I can't remember, but it was a big, big number, and the biggest number I'd ever heard in real estate. And so that was a really exciting boost in the arm. And again, real estate is not about technology. Real estate is about relationships. And because you had nurtured that relationship with that former friend or colleague, he reached out to you. It turned into the biggest commission of your life. So far anyway.
Yeah. So hoping they need another warehouse soon.
It's coming, baby. It's coming. I'm going to will it to just come right at you, baby. It's coming. Well, hey, listen, we're going to go ahead and let you go, Akash. We really appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for sharing your inspirational story, your family story. And it's so good to always see your bright, smiling, handsome face, and good to have you on. So if everybody could just have an attitude of gratitude and say thank you to Akash before he signs off, it would mean a lot to me. So thank you, Akash, for pouring into us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tony, for the platform, the years of support and friendship to me and my family. We always hold you in high regard and high praise, always. And I appreciate the support that you provide to the entire group and team here to constantly motivate as well as to educate. Exactly what you said earlier is a huge mindset. Real estate and sales in general, but especially real estate, is keeping that positive mindset, and that's probably worth more than truly any other aspect of it, because it will beat you up. It will beat you up, especially at the start. So you can make it through that starting phase. You'll find great success in it.
Just stay away from negativity like it's a stage 4 cancer. Stay away from it and fill your mind full of positivity and positive people and positive events and no news, because it'll just depress the hell out of you. And just keep focused. I always say, don't let your upline, your downline, your cross line, your sideline take you offline. You got to stay focused. And so the grass isn't greener on the other side of the fence, and it tastes worse also. So this is where it's at. You're where it's at. Akash, I love you, brother. Thank you so much. And tell your mom and dad and your sisters hello from me, will you? Give them a big, giant Texas Tony bear hug.
Thank you very much, sir. Love you and Jen as well. So extend my hug to her too.
You got it, brother. All right. Talk to you again soon. Happy New Year.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, Sam, we'll go ahead and take an intermission now. We'll come back in exactly 4 minutes. 4 minutes, guys. Those of you that want to stick around, we have an incredible gentleman that is going to break down the EXP opportunity. And I'm super excited to hear from him myself, Pat Manning. Looking forward to it, brother. So thank you so much for your volunteer spirit and your willingness to share, your passion for EXP and why EXP has become the fastest growing real estate company on the planet. So we'll be back here in about 3 minutes, and we'll open the mic up for you, and you can take it away.